Hello, my name's Stuart, the unrepentant atheist, and back with another video. And this is going to be on the "you're just mad at God" claim by many, particularly Christian theists, who can't really quite get their minds around the fact that there are people who genuinely don't believe in God, and that it's not because uh, atheists are mad with God that they don't believe, but they just don't see the evidence for the God, and that's the reason they don't believe. So this thing about you're just mad with God, you're angry with God, you're rebelling against God, so you've decided to become an atheist is one of the strangest kind of claims I've ever heard. It's a bit like when I was growing up, my parents actually tried to frighten me into going to sleep by saying that there was a man, that the boogeyman is under your bed, and if you don't fall asleep within 10 minutes, he's going to get you. Now, obviously, when I was 5, 6 years old, you tend to believe what your parents tell you. You believe there's a Santa Claus, you believe there's a God, and yeah, if they tell you there's a bogeyman underneath the bed and he's going to get you if you don't go to sleep, you tend to believe that too. So at first, I was simply merely afraid, and I would lay in bed shivering with fear, expecting that if I didn't go to sleep, this horrible creature, this horrible man, was going to come up from underneath the bed and grab me by the throat. And at some point, it wasn't just fear. Actually, I was starting to get angry as well because this threatening figure was hiding underneath the bed. So it seemed. So I was afraid, but I was starting to get angry. So in that case, yes, I was angry with this fictional character, even though he didn't exist. But I did believe in him, and I did believe he was there. And one night I got so angry, I thought, right, I'm going to have it out with this boogeyman. So I suddenly looked under the bed and to challenge him, and there was nothing there. I thought, that's strange. Where is he? And the next night I did the same as well. Looked under the bed before I went to bed, after I was in bed, and there was nothing. Several nights in a row, and I suddenly thought, actually, he doesn't exist, this thing. And I went to my mum and said, you know something, does the boogeyman actually exist? Because I've been looking under my bed every night and there's nothing there. And she had a bit of a laugh. She said, all right, no, he doesn't exist. And obviously from then on, I wasn't afraid because he didn't exist. And I knew that he didn't exist, or at least I believed he didn't exist based on my own research and obviously what my mother said. I realized that it was just a ploy to try and get me to go to sleep. So, this whole point about God and being angry with God, why would you be angry with um, something which doesn't exist? Why? Why? It doesn't make any sense that you're going to have any emotions for something which you don't believe exists. So it's not that, obviously, I'm speaking for myself. There may be atheists out there who really, um, maybe something bad happened in their life. They got angry with God and they decided not to believe in God. Who knows? Maybe that's the case. It certainly wasn't the case. It certainly wasn't the case with me. It was just a case that because I didn't think there was any convincing evidence, I stopped believing in God, and any fear that I might have had uh, of God or any anger that I might have had obviously would have disappeared. Any emotions at all, as soon as I realized actually it's highly unlikely that there is a God and there's nothing really to be afraid of. All right, I can be afraid of death because I also don't believe in the afterlife. So I was a Christian, and obviously when I stopped believing in God, I thought, well, probably there's no afterlife either. There's no evidence for that either. So yeah, then I sort of started fearing death a bit more. But no, there was no question of ever being angry with God. While I was a Christian, there might have been occasions when things didn't go my way, despite the fact I'd prayed um, for a result, and it went against me. I thought, well, where was God? I prayed. I was sincere with my prayer. I was down on my knees. I was praying with all my heart, and yet, this. And yeah, I was angry while I believed that God did exist, and I'm sure that there are plenty of, for example, parents out there who are devout Christians who, by sheer bad luck and misfortune, have got maybe a child that had leukemia, or died of some horrible cancer when the child was only 7 or 8 years old, and they prayed their hearts out and nothing happened, and God didn't save the child, or they were just angry that they had a child, that they believed in God and they were devout Christians. And I can understand that they would be angry with God that they gave birth to a child, that obviously developed cancer and died young before it could live its life and suffered as well. So, in that kind of situation where they believe in God, yes, I can see how they would be angry with God, but they wouldn't necessarily become atheists because at the heart of it, they've still got their faith. And if they lost their faith, for example, they might initially be angry with God and think, well, I prayed, all these misfortunes happened to me, and I can only really conclude that there's no God. And then the anger would disappear. The anger would just dissolve because it would be irrelevant. You can't be angry with something that you don't believe exists. So I think it's a bit insulting in a way. We also hear that if you say, "Oh yes, I was an atheist," I lost my faith when I was 15 years old, and then sometimes an occasional Christian will say, "Well, you know, they were probably shoving religion down your throat. You probably had the wrong person in charge of your religious education." And I mean, that's coming from the same kind of direction. It's sort of it's not really respecting that you have made your own choice in terms of or your own decision and reached your own conclusion about whether God exists or not. That, oh, you would believe if only you'd had the right person preaching to you and looking after your religious education, and if you hadn't got angry with God and rebelled, you would still be a Christian. All this is insulting, really, and because obviously I don't agree with Christians. I mean, I don't agree um, with Christians in the sense that I don't believe God exists. I think they're wrong, but I do respect that they've made their own decision. They've got their own decision process. They may have had a personal experience and interpreted it in such a way that they believe in God. I'm not privy to that experience. I can't possibly know what that experience it was. It's possible that if I had that experience, I would put a different interpretation on it. I don't know, but it's no evidence for me. But Christians who do believe, I might think that their reasons are fallacious. I might think that they've not really studied the evidence, or they're putting too much weight through confirmation bias on really flimsy evidence. I might have that opinion, but I do respect the fact that they've looked at the whole picture, and they've made up their own minds and reached that conclusion. I'm not going to say, well, if only you'd had some atheist guiding you, or if somebody had been in charge of your philosophical education and taught you critical thinking, you might have reached a different conclusion, or you're just angry with atheists, or uh, you're just trying to court favoritism with God, or whatever fallacious kind of reason that I can come up with as to why they've reached a different conclusion from me. All I will do when I'm debating somebody is ask them what their reasons are, and then I will just tell them why I don't think that maybe they're good reasons. And I think that that's the kind of level that I would hold a discussion. And I would never say, well, you were just an angry teenager and you were looking for support and God happened to be there. Or, um, you said that you didn't go looking for God, but really, let's face it, deep down inside, you already kind of believed, didn't you? I'm not going to start second guessing what somebody else was feeling or thinking at the time that they made a decision. But that's what some Christians, I'm not generalizing here because not many do it, but some do. I've heard them and they've said it to me on my own channel. So, some do draw this conclusion that something has gone wrong for you in your life, something has gone wrong for me in my life, and I'm really searching. They can see it in my eyes. I'm really am looking for God, and if only I will do this, I will read this book or that book. And if I had some anger with God when I was a teenager because things weren't going right for me, and if only all these things had been correct, you also would be a Christian. So I don't believe that is the way to um, evaluate somebody else's conclusion. If you want to tell me that you've read the Bible and it strikes a chord with you and you feel that it's the Word of God, obviously I will have something to say about that. But if you've reached that conclusion, um, well, I respect the fact that you've reached that conclusion, even if I disagree with it. But what I won't do, as I said, is second guess you and say, "Oh, well, that's because you're already predisposed to believe, and you know you needed support, etc." Okay, so I think you know where I'm coming from. This whole thing about being angry with God, that's why you're an atheist. It's completely irrational. It's completely ludicrous. And if anybody could find me an atheist who's admitted that the reason they're an atheist is because they're angry with God, please let me know because I would like some evidence of this person. It would be really interesting for me to speak to an atheist who doesn't believe in God yet is angry with God. So I can't make any sense of that, and I've tried to rationalize it in this video. It can't be rationalized, and I've said what I think is wrong with that point of view. So, what do you think? Are you an atheist for the reason that you're angry with God? Let me know in the comments below. Bye for now.